Hey, y'all, and thank you for listening to and supporting Sweet Tea and TV.
We've wrapped up season 4 and we're headed into season 5. But before we get there, we wanted to do a quick flashback of some of our favorite Sweet Tea and TV episodes of all time.
So, for the month of September, you'll get a re-air every week. As usual, Mondays will be a main episode, and Thursday, you'll get an extra sugar.
These are episodes we love so much, so we hope you'll enjoy revisiting them, or if you're new around here, getting a sense for the best of Sweet Tea and TV.
We'll be back in October with brand new Season 5 episodes.
Enjoy!
Hey, Nikki.
Hey, Selena.
And hello, everyone, and welcome to Sweet Tea and TV.
Hey, y'all. Welcome.
Are you ready?
To rate this sucker? We already there?
Yeah, we're just going to jump right.
Wow.
We're not even playing around. We're not going to tell you what episode. We're just going to rate it and then just jump right
You
into
guess.
extra sugar.
Oh my gosh, what if we did? That would be amazing if we just shared our rating scale and our rating and justification, and then people had to guess what episode we were talking about.
Yeah,
That would be fun.
that would be fun. I wanted to ask you a question to start off today.
This never ends well.
I'm just a real thinker. You know,
That's
like
what I need. Real
this or
noodle
that.
scratcher.
Yeah. Would you rather? We might go through a series of would you rathers, but I'm just gonna start off with one. Okay. Would you rather lose all of your money or all of your pictures?
All of my pictures, I'm afraid.
Same.
Yeah. I mean, I got them right up here.
But I really need that cash to pay the mortgage.
Yeah, I gotta go with pictures. I can lose those.
Yeah.
That's it. I mean, I don't want to lose them.
Yeah. I gotta tell you, I thought that you might be in a little bit more of a churn over it than that. Cause like, you know, your mom, children.
Can I tell you something maybe sad or horrible? I have gone through the mental exercise of what if our house burned down,
Oh, sure. Mhm.
and I think I've already made peace with the fact that pictures would be something that would be gone. Now we have a bunch of digital pictures, which is great. But still we could lose those.
Yeah.
So I've had to make a lot of peace with material things and being okay with those things being gone. Money is a material thing that's critical. Like,
Yeah.
it's where the money gone, my life would be gone. Do you know what I mean? I
Yeah.
can't buy food.
Right.
So,
right.
easy. Next.
Well, the next thing is, come on and marry me, Bill.
Oh, that's it.
Yeah, we're just. I didn't want to hit you with a bunch of questions, so we're just gonna do the one.
Wow. Season 3, episode 18. Come on and marry me, Bill. The show. So we got another Selena description here. I see. Was this the one you were really unhappy with?
I can't remember.
So Selena says the Sugar Baker's ladies are in a frenzy as they happily prepare for Charlene's wedding. But Bill's stag party throws some dangerous curves that could sabotage the elegant plans.
I think I just left Selena's description in there from the last one. I don't think
Oh.
that's mine. That doesn't even sound like me.
Stag party. I was like, that's a weird word choice for you.
Yeah.
Okay. So this week's episode description was what I just read.
Oops. It's one of them though. Probably Hulu. I don't know.
Air date April 10th, 1989. We're calling this one Menage a Trois Marriage.
You say that like somebody who speaks French.
What was my French teacher's name? She should be so proud that I can say Menage a Trois.
I know, but like, was it Miss Menage a Trois?
So in an exciting and dramatic twist, Charlene's madam friend Monette returns for this one. But, well, this is where there's no good transition. Sadly, the actor who played her, Bobby Faye Ferguson, passed in June. She was 78. And you got a little something about her coming up later?
I do. We'll Selena's sidebar about her and talk a little bit about her life and some of her achievements.
Okay. So this episode was written by LBT and again directed by David Trainer. So let's get into it. This is a big episode. General reaction, stray observations.
Do we need to talk about the This Is Your Life show they put on at her bachelorette party?
Oh, yeah. Sure. You have a strong opinion?
Oh, did you not have any thoughts about that specifically?
I thought that whole scene was a little cringy.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
I had read on, I don't think it's in my notes, I had read on designingwomen.com that this episode in particular gives fans like the warm fuzzies. And that scene in particular, I think it said, really sits with people. And it really gave me the heebie-jeebies. It was just weird.
Yeah, so the stories that, like, they were masking who was there and, like,
Mm-hmm.
telling these stories behind this bed sheet or whatever. And these did not hit great for me. I couldn't tell if some of the jokes, because everybody's like, like the real dramatic laughter. I couldn't tell if, like, maybe the jokes weren't good or if they were really just trying to write them in that character.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, they were supposed to be, like, that's what's kind of cute about them, is they're not funny. I wasn't sure. And then I had an unanswerable question about this bit, which is, are some of these tidbits from LBT's life? Like, there were people telling stories about her back in Missouri. And I was just wondering. We don't really know, but it's possible.
Yeah.
Some other things that I thought about.
Can I say one more thing about that scene?
Please.
It's related to that. I looked into it, and I was, again, my brain working because I'm scrolling through my notes. I looked into it to see if any of LBT's family or like her husband's family were like part of that scene, because, and I mean this with all the love in the world, some of those people did not seem like actors.
Mm-hmm.
So the very first story that was told, that person was not a trained actor, in my opinion.
Uh-huh.
And so I was curious if that was family, and I was not successful in finding out. But I have read in a few places that they are notorious for dropping family into episodes.
Mm-hmm.
So I would be shocked and appalled if someone told me no one in that room was relation.
Well, and then I just rather know, like, that was a real story about LBT, and, like, I think that would make
It's
it
more
like
charming.
a warm and fuzzy,
Yeah.
charming kind of thing. Actually, all of my general reactions are about that.
Oh, okay.
That's it.
Wow.
It must have really stayed with me.
Must have.
So I can see how fans, like really, really big fans of the show, are like excited about some parts of it. So I did love Suzanne, Bernice, Mary Jo, and Julia lip syncing to Wedding Bell Blues. Now, this also was prominently featured in Gilmore Girls in the episode where Richard and Emily renew their vows. Do you remember what song they sang? Bill, I love you so.
They were lip
I
syncing.
always will. Mm-hmm. Julia goes on to sing another song.
She's also lip syncing.
Not in that next one, I don't think. Oh, you think so?
It looked really rigged.
I bet you they recorded her.
Yes, for sure.
Okay.
That bother. It just, I can't. It's hard for me to watch.
I see. I think sometimes I never know if I'm getting like a delay.
And
Like,
there was a weird.
Not a delay, because it's not live. I don't know if you know this or not, but it's not 1989.
It's not live?
Yeah.
That part of them singing "My Buddy" that Julia was singing at the piano.
I didn't like that song.
I loved it so much.
You love that song so much.
I loved it so much.
Did you really?
Yes. The lines, the words were so sweet. The concept of my buddy, like not
I
my.
love the song. I don't like the word buddy.
Oh, see, I love it so much. It's so endearing and so
Do you
like.
call any of your friends buddy?
It's of a different time.
Yeah. I see that.
It felt very nostalgic. It felt very, and the lyrics were so sweet. I really loved that.
So some of it was getting me in my feels, but that song just, I don't know,
Didn't do it
that was
for
another
you.
one that didn't hit well for me. I also was like thinking about this idea where, except for in very special circumstances, having to sit there and look your friend dead in the eyes while they sing you a full song.
It's weird.
Okay, this is what I'm saying.
That's
And I think that was what was uncomfortable for me, even more so than the song, is like, I mean, I know. I've sang to a friend before, and holding that eye contact the whole time. Holding eye contact for a long time anyway is just weird, but also doing it with the song, that's just another level.
Julia has this thing though where she performs at a lot of their parties, and like we've talked before about Dixie Carter's
Dixie
inclination.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like I feel comfortable saying this, that no one's going to be offended. None of my friends are performers, so if they were singing to me for an extended period of time, I'm not sure it would be the most enjoyable experience.
Oh, Yeah.
I think there are a couple who have beautiful voices, and maybe it wouldn't be so bad, but it's not in their character. So like if I was used to my friends singing at like parties and stuff, I'd almost be offended if she didn't sing me a song
Doesn't that feel like of another
of
era?
another time.
Yeah, I mean that like
And I think
don't.
we talked about that when we talked about Dixie Carter's proclivities for laying on the piano. No, we made that part up.
No, that's true.
That's true. Okay, she would like lay
Wait.
out on the piano.
I think that's true. She definitely would come to the top of the banister,
Yes.
and she'd be like fashionably 15 minutes late. And she's
Yes.
like, "Oh, are y'all waiting for me?"
Yep.
Which I love because like she is dramatic on the show, but not in that way.
Yeah.
That's in a really showy way.
Yeah.
And I would have just loved to have been on a fly on the wall for that, or even a guest. I don't
Yeah.
have to necessarily be a fly on the wall. That's how I like to attend parties. I had one more thought about this, which was that this was all very G for a bachelorette party. No.
Charlene.
Yeah. So well, yes and no, because I don't know that she's that G, but her family is very Baptist, and so since there were a lot of family in attendance, I get it. But my point in this is, don't underestimate women. They get wild.
Yeah, for sure.
The only people I know who get more wild,
Are the girls?
I was going to say moms.
Oh.
On that first excursion out, after
Oh.
y'all been holed up in the house a long time, you
Yeah.
wild. You wild.
Oh, yeah, that can be true.
You haven't necessarily been able to drink a lot,
Yeah.
so the sauce
It
hits
hits
you real
hard.
fast. That's the only wilder group. Fresh new
True.
moms.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
Yeah.
The only other thing, so one general reaction is I thought this was a really sweet episode.
Yeah.
There's different strokes for different folks. I thought My Buddy, like I said, was it felt sentimental. It felt of another time. It felt dreamy in a way. So I loved that. I will say I'm shocked this was just one episode, part one.
That they didn't do the bachelorette part.
Yeah, so it wasn't split over 2 episodes or split over a season, honestly, or a season ender or something. It just feels like these days, even in a sitcom, a wedding just traditionally gets a 2-parter.
Yeah.
You would get the bachelorette party and then the wedding.
On Friends, I feel like Ross got married the whole season. When he got married to Emily.
To Emily.
Good Lord.
Yeah.
That whole, season 4 or something? I mean, we just spent the whole time on that wedding. So,
Emily
yeah.
really sticks with you like toilet paper on your shoe. She just would not go away. So that struck me. I also had read, I'm going to go back to designingwomenonline.com, which is
Okay.
like my resource for everything. They said this episode was really special to LBT. It said that LBT became the first writer in TV history to write 35 consecutive episodes of a show, which we talked about in our finale Extra
Right.
Sugar this last season. So they marked the 50th episode of Designing Women with a special episode, which was this wedding.
Oh, okay.
So this was a special episode. So I think that's part of why it fell when it fell. It just was kind of awkward to me.
Yeah, and I don't want, like, I did like this episode, and I think more of the things that I liked will come up in likes.
Yeah. In terms of strays,
Yeah.
I wanted to mention that Noelle got a mention in this episode when Mary Jo says Charlene had every right to tell Suzanne she couldn't bring her pig to the reception.
Right.
So we had that whole discussion in episode 15 about that being the last time Noelle would appear. So at least she's here in spirit for now.
Yeah,
We have yet another Bud Frazier.
that's right. We sure do.
Barry Corbin this time. He's been in a ton of things. His voice to me, again, like Mrs.
that what
Selner,
got you?
that's what got me. Because I know him from The Ranch on Netflix.
It's so funny because I have a note here where I talk about, like, I went and looked through his filmography.
Oh, uh-huh.
Because I do know, I recognize him most as Whitey from One Tree Hill. So he was the coach.
I've never watched One Tree Hill.
Really?
Never.
I think you'd like it.
I probably would.
The
I've heard
early
this.
years, I think it kind of went off the rails a little
I've heard
bit, like
this.
most of those teeny soap dramas do. Like,
Yeah.
you just run out of content.
Right.
But that's what I knew him the most from. But when I was looking and saw Ranch, I have a note here that says, Nikki, you'll know him from The Ranch.
Oh, God, I love that show so much.
He was also on Yellowstone
Mm-hmm.
recently, and that's a big hit. And then, like, he's like got an extensive filmography. And actually, he's about to be in a highly anticipated Scorsese movie. So
Oh, that's good to hear.
good for him.
In The Ranch, he has hearing aids, and they're pretty visible. I don't know if that was part of his character or if that was just part of him getting... And he looks very different than he does in this episode. It's the aging and whatnot, but he looks like he's aged a lot. And so I honestly was a little worried.
Well, that's what 40 years will do to you.
Right.
Especially since he's already playing like a dad.
Exactly.
But I feel like, I don't know, a lot of hearing aids are invisible, so I feel like if you could see them,
They
that
must have been
almost
part of the
feels-
character.
Yeah, it feels like a character choice, but
It just is. It's an interesting. It was just interesting that I don't really know him honestly from anything else.
yeah.
And my first reaction was he was an older guy, and so to see him in this context,
It was
just
weird. It was really weird because he looks
So
so
different.
young.
yeah,
I mean, even though he's not young, but I think that speaks to 40 years.
right.
40 years. And it's just interesting because we did talk about this. We kind of queued up the fact that this was going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And here we are on a third father, second this season. Clary Edwards still showing up as the mom.
Yeah.
It's just, there was probably like a scheduling conflict or something, but it's very weird for 5 episodes later or whatever it is.
To be super noticeable.
Yeah. Like you would have even noticed that then, I think.
Right.
What else did you have in Strays?
I mentioned this a second ago, sort of. So Uncle Howard's toast was really glorious.
Mm-hmm.
It was glorious. What's more interesting is that it was played by Howard Bloodworth, who is actually LBT's uncle.
Mm-hmm.
And that goes back to my point about just not being able to put my finger on it, but some of these people felt homegrown.
I think it was homegrown, but also like giving the speech at a rehearsal dinner is like it feels coveted or something. And so for me, the reason I wound up looking into it was just because I was like, wait, I've not once heard of this Uncle Howard person. And here they are getting their own speech. Like, I know sometimes for SAG, for your, like, to get paid with SAG, you need to, like, get in a line or something. But a whole speech, that felt significant. And that's where I was like, something's going on here. But yeah, so it's interesting.
I had one more stray, which goes to the stag party or the bachelor party. This was important enough to me that I had to write it down, so I'm curious if you feel the same way. Were we all uncomfortable by that lady dancing right in front of Reese at the bachelor party, or was it just me? There was a lot of gyrating and a lot of Hal Holbrook's eyes moving, and it was heebie-jeebie for me.
I mean, there's a significant age difference there.
It's just awkward.
Also, I think the whole thing is a little uncomfortable.
That whole little bit was
her name, Little Latin Lupe. Don't love that.
Little Latin Loopy.
Did you in the South? Yes. Do you recognize her?
Now that you've said it, I can't tell if I'm having a flashback to the show or from somewhere. You tell me who is it.
It was driving me nuts because I was like, she looks so familiar to me. She was in the very beginning of the first Austin Powers, International Man of Mystery.
Oh my gosh.
A lot of vagina.
Yep. That's her?
That's her.
Oh, fascinating. I can see, yep, 100% I see that now.
And I don't know if this was like this with your friends. We saw that movie no fewer than 150 times.
Not with my friends, with my sister. We used to watch that movie a lot.
Well, if I had a sister,
you would have watched it a lot.
I would have watched it a lot with her. But
my dad also really loved Austin Powers, so we would
good.
go every time the movies came out. We'd go see them in the theater.
I heard rumor. It can't be a big rumor if I've heard it. But I understand there's a rumor. There are rumors that they're going to do another one.
This feels familiar to me. Yeah, it gets hard to keep track of all the reboots, but that does feel familiar.
Yeah, I wonder. I don't know because Mike Myers wound up doing a new show on Netflix, and I wonder if the performance of that will wind up being the indicator for whether or not they do Austin Powers. But I'm not sure. What I will say is I love Mike Myers, and
so great.
I think that he's hilarious.
He's so funny.
And I've heard some really intriguing interviews with him. It just goes to show funny people are pretty serious off mic.
They got range.
They're so serious.
Yeah.
It's just interesting. You wouldn't think that. I only have one more stray.
I don't have any more.
Bill's friend's nickname is Moonwalker,
Mm-hmm.
and it reminds me, I really think that we need to get our call signs together. So just going to get a plug in for that. Okay. We'll have to give one to each other. You can't make up your own call sign.
Oh,
So
fine.
So I'm sure we'll remember this.
I told Kyle I only want to be, after we saw Top Gun, every time I did something cool, I would go, Maverick.
That's the only one you want to be.
Maverick. So if you'd give me that call sign, that'd be cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Not a problem. So, are you ready to Selena's sidebar?
Mm-hmm.
It's a sidebar, Selena, sidebar. She's got a keyboard looking for a reward by digging deep in the obscure, taking us on a detour. What you got, Selena, in Selena's sidebar?
You mentioned this at the top about Bobby Faye Ferguson. So she passed away this summer. And given her connection to the show, I thought it would be nice to celebrate her by talking just a little bit about her life and her achievements. Does that sound okay with you?
That sounds great.
I mean, can you imagine the world where you were like, no?
I would rather we not honor someone who's dead.
You probably could have guessed this from the name, but Bobby Faye was a Southern person. She was born in Memphis, and she grew up in Eudora, Arkansas.
Oh.
Oh, the connections there are coming.
Yeah.
She later graduated from the University of Arkansas with a degree in speech and communications. Circling around 2 degrees in this room. Getting pretty close. She was in the top 10 in the Miss Arkansas pageant. And Bobby Faye also went on to be a high school teacher. And she was Teacher of the Year in Little Rock.
Oh, that's nice.
She later became a model and actress, appearing in shows like Dukes of Hazzard and Remington Steele, as well as Designing Women and LBT's Other Babies, Evening Shade, and Hearts of Fire.
Oh.
Get this. This is where it'll really start to make sense. She was a Clinton appointee and started NASA's multimedia program in D.C., later worked for the Department of Homeland Security in L.A., and in this capacity, she winds up being a consultant on a few movies and for a TV series. So I thought that was interesting. I never would have thought that I would have seen, I don't know, I just don't think that someone's going to be an actor also is like, I think I'll do a stint at NASA.
They got range.
You can do anything you want.
It's true.
Also wanted to say acting runs in the family.
Uh-huh.
Her son is J.R. Ferguson. He's been in a ton of stuff. You'll know him if you see him. Most recently on the Connors as Darlene's love interest, Ben. I know him as Stan Rizzo on Mad Men. Nikki is going to be Googling over there. By all accounts, Bobby Faye was quite a human, and I just wanted to say that learning more about her really made me enjoy her performance both here and in season 1 all the more. And while you're Googling over there, Nikki.
I found it.
Okay. You recognize them?
I do.
Okay. Speaking of things that we like, what did you like about this episode, Nikki?
Oh, we that was such a smooth transition. I wasn't prepared for that transition.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
I have the one, just the general like that it was a wedding episode full of romance and hijinks. What's not to love?
That's true. I liked Bernice's very appropriate speech at the rehearsal dinner.
God, yes. I didn't mention that earlier. When I talked about Uncle Howard's toast, the flip of that was that Bernice's was so good.
She is the best. She gets up on like a table or an ottoman or something and she just lets it rip.
Oh my God. And everybody just lets her go for a little while.
Well, and Mary Jo calling it her very appropriate speech,
Yes, yeah.
that to me also just
Very
felt very
appropriate.
Southern. Thank you, that's very appropriate. Go ahead and sit down and never talk again.
They said that Suzanne drew the short straw to watch her that night, but I just really feel like Bernice is someone that needs maybe more of an Anthony on her, and you can't afford to risk a night like that on Suzanne.
Yeah, that was maybe not the best call.
I would have taken Suzanne out of the running on that one.
Also, you can't put baby in a corner.
I'm going to have to rewatch her speech a couple of times because it was very funny.
Yeah, it was good. I enjoyed the bachelor party shenanigans the most. I don't know. Reese being there, not the gyrations in front of his face.
So awkward.
But just like him being in the mix for this one.
And like saying things like, no, Julia would not approve of this at all.
Yeah. He had like a little good one-liners in between him and Anthony, especially. But
you're really a Renaissance man, aren't you, Anthony?
Loved it. Bill and the dancer getting handcuffed together. Anthony to the rescue, knowing how to speak Spanish, and they were Menage a Trois handcuffs. Of course, he knows this as well. Charlene and Julia busting them both. Lupe cuffing Charlene, too, culminating with all three of them being together as Charlene attempts to get ready. I mean, just like when it shows her getting ready and it pulls back and they're both
That
like
was so
haggard.
sad. That was so sad.
It is, but it's just good sitcom stuff.
It was really funny.
Monette having a set of keys in her purse because that's what sex workers do.
That was great.
I'm here for it.
I
She saved
liked
the
it.
day.
She saved the day yet again.
Yeah. And I actually really just like the whole wedding sequence at the end. You know, we get to see everyone in the crowd, and I thought that was nice. It was like her brother was there. Odell was back in the crowd.
Uh-huh.
Like, we just pulled in a lot of people. I mean, it makes sense, right? But that's still a big production to bring all of those people in.
She had mentioned Odell was at the bachelor party, so
Uh-huh.
I had to look it up to make sure
He
because
was
you don't get a
asleep on the
good
coffee table. I
you don't
think.
get a good view of him. But we spent some time talking about him in the Odell episode, so I wanted to make sure it was the same guy and they weren't trying to pull a fast one on us like they were with Papa Frazier. It was
Right.
the same guy.
Right. So I like that aspect of it. Their wedding attire. Lots of hats. And like even Lupe being in the crowd.
Oh yeah, she
They're
got
friends.
invited. Yeah.
I even teared up a little bit.
Aw.
See, I liked it. I liked it. What about what we didn't like?
The only beef I could possibly have, and I think I mentioned this a few minutes ago, was all the singing. There was just so much singing. I think maybe I missed that they were lip syncing that one song when it was the four of them. But every time, and I rewatched this episode a couple times, every time it happened, I had to walk away because it was just so awkward for me. And the My Buddy, I could listen to that, although I think Annie Potts' character, and I also thought maybe they were lip syncing that too because she had sort of like a clownish kind of voice thing happening. Like we had one episode where she sang and it was at a Christmas party or something, and it was kind of a funny Muppety sort of sounding voice. That's what it sounded like here. And it just sounded pretend or something. It sounded something.
It's like, I think we said this then, and this would be the way I would talk. It's like another era style of
Yeah.
singing. It's like 30s
Yeah.
or 40s, and it reminds me of Snow White.
Okay. Okay. I can get on board with that.
Wishing in the wishing well.
It
Like
was-
I'm not. Annie Potts sounds better than what I just did, but I'm talking about this. It's just like
Got
a
it.
very interesting. Do you want me to look you dead in the eye?
And sing My Buddy for 3.5 minutes.
Buddy.
That was my only beef.
I'm gargling and singing all at once.
Every time they sing on this show, it's really hard for me to watch. There's so much lip syncing.
Yeah.
I just can't watch it.
That's understandable. My only thing was, and I was on the fence about, was the bachelorette party. I think I just wanted a little bit more from that. I wanted them to let their 80s teased hair down, and I wanted them to run the town. I wanted them to paint it red. And we got a really G-rated bachelorette party, and I just wanted more for Charlene. You know? You ready to rate the sucker?
I'm ready.
What you got?
This Little Light of Mine wedding performances.
Okay.
I gave it a 5 out of 5.
That's very nice.
I didn't really have much against this episode. I thought it was nice.
I agree. I give it a 4.8 out of 5.
Respectable.
Keyless cuffs.
Mm-hmm.
Gotta get some of those keyless cuffs, guys.
And a saw.
Well, just in case. But it was fun, sweet, easy breezy, with enough drama to keep me interested. And it wasn't serious drama that's like upsetting.
Right.
And we got to see our girl get married to someone she loves. What's not to love?
What's not to love?
Who won the episode and who buttered all biscuits?
I mean, Monette, right? She freed him from the handcuffs.
Bam.
Stole the words right out of your mouth.
Yeah, basically. I did say someone get that gal a better job than taking care of the guest book. Sheesh.
Yeah.
She needed an upgrade, I think.
She did. She was part of the house party and not the bridal party.
Yeah.
Flashback to last week's extra show.
It was a goodie. Who lost the episode and served us lumpy gravy?
So I want to be all girl power and whatnot. But I'm a little cheesed off at little Latin Loopy.
Oh, okay.
Why would she not have the key to those handcuffs?
It's her boyfriend's fault.
That is just not responsible stripping.
Yeah, I mean, but it was her boyfriend's fault, wasn't it?
No, I think she left her purse in his car or
My
something.
thing is, why was the solution to Bill and Charlene arguing that she threw the handcuffs on Charlene too? Like
Right.
that. This is just. I mean, I get it. She's tired. She's so tired.
I think she just wanted to be extra clear. Like, I don't want to get between you guys. This is not about that. This is a total misunderstanding.
And the best way for me to not get in between you guys is to
Be attached to
literally
you.
get in between you guys.
Yeah, well.
The best laid plans and all of that. I went with all of Charlene's exes because she's off the market now,
Oh.
which I'm pretty sure I've used before
Oh.
in some episode, somewhere, somehow. But hey, she's a catch, so if I have
She
used
is.
it before, it's worth doing it twice.
It's true.
80s things?
They mentioned Animal House, and this is only an 80s thing because we don't have a 70s thing. But Animal House was a National Lampoon's film from the late 70s, written by, among others, Harold Ramis of Ghostbusters fame. I also noticed
Love
he
him.
directed an episode of The Office that
He
I watched
did.
yesterday.
I think it's a few.
Probably. I just happened to notice it.
You should listen to the Office ladies, and they talk about him, and he just sounds like the most wonderful human being.
Mm-hmm.
I just love him so much, which is weird because I don't know him. Also, he's passed, but yeah, he just seems wonderful.
So anyone who doesn't know, Animal House was the reason most people know John Belushi.
Yes.
It's about a fraternity, and it's a little off color, so that's why Suzanne referenced it in reference to the bachelor party, maybe.
Yeah, I think so.
So that was my only 80s thing.
I've never seen it.
I think I've seen bits and pieces of it, but I don't remember.
Yeah, like clips.
I think I've sat down and watched it, but it's like one of those things that I
It's
just
like
sort of,
Caddyshack.
yeah,
I don't
like,
know.
it definitely
I'm
I've
good.
definitely watched Caddyshack like that, sort of
Yeah.
in and out.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm good. I don't know.
It's just not that funny to me.
Yeah, I think.
And I think Harold Ramis is hilarious.
Sure.
I think Caddyshack is Bill Murray, hilarious.
Comedy evolves. So I think it could have been very hilarious at that time.
Well, I also think it's context. Like,
yeah.
I think possibly there's a group of people that would watch that now and think it's hilarious, and maybe that's just not my kind of humor.
Yeah.
I watch Mean Girls. I watch Mean Girls, and I think that's the funniest movie in the history of the world. Kyle watched it with me recently, and with the exception of a couple of lines, he didn't laugh at all.
Yeah.
He just didn't see the humor. So,
Yeah. I think I do find, but like I feel like Mean Girls is a little bit more modern. I think even someone who enjoyed Caddyshack a long time ago, I think if they were just really laughing it up, I think it would be nostalgia more than it just being like still that funny today. And again, I do really think that's because comedy evolves so much, and I think Tina Fey is just such a force.
yeah.
That the things that some stuff doesn't age as badly.
Yeah.
I mean, Caddyshack, classic. Go check it out. I don't want to crap on really, really, really what are inarguably great movies. So mine was Everything at the Wedding, 80s.
Yeah.
I mean, Charlene's dress, just the whole bit. I mean, it was beautiful, but it was just 1989.
Yeah.
You know, the decorations, everything. The shenanigans for this one actually feel very of this era. Oh no, we're handcuffed together. Oh no, no one has a key. Oh no. You know, I just feel
Highway
like
State Patrol had to stop the boyfriend on his way to Shreveport
I
versus just calling a cell phone.
right. I just feel like also the handcuff thing was I didn't have time to look into it, but I just feel like that was a really big story like plot device at the time. I feel like I have seen people get, oh no, we were handcuffed together, probably in like 12 comedies from that time. So, Southern things?
Ozark Beauty College. This was mentioned by Charlene's sister during the bachelorette party. I didn't do a deep dive, but I did Google it, and it seems legit. It seems like that's an actual cosmetology school. There was a reference to the guy who played Floyd on Mayberry RFD.
Another
in
one.
In Shreveport, Louisiana, which is where Lupe was moving.
Okay. Oh, that was good to put that in Southern. I'm like, we just had Floyd in one. That's because that was in my references we need to talk about.
Oh.
So I had no Southern things, which I knew was wrong.
There weren't a lot of references in this episode. There just wasn't a lot of maybe space for that.
Yeah. So you already mentioned Floyd. My other references we need to talk about is the Missouri Waltz. This is the official state song and has been since June 30th, 1949. Wasn't actually, I think it wasn't even written by anyone in Missouri. It was like written by someone in Maine or something. Cut lines?
There was a bit cut from the opening scene, carrying on from the conversation about Noelle not being allowed to the reception. Suzanne says, Mary Jo, I guess I'll be picking you up for the wedding since I don't have anybody to take. Charlene says, what did I tell you? She's mad about that pig. Oh, Charlene, don't be ridiculous. If you don't want Noelle to come to your reception, that's your right. I just think Mr. Garfinkel's going to be a little disappointed. Who's Mr. Garfinkel? My shoemaker. I mean, he just about knocked himself out designing those little pig pumps. So when's the big bus from Hee Haw getting here? Suzanne, if you're referring to my family, they're coming in a 9-car caravan because the plane fare would have cost over $1 million. I'm going to tell them you said that. Oh, lighten up. I bet they would have enjoyed meeting my pig. And then after the cuffs came off, you just mentioned that Lupe was in the audience. After the cuffs came off, Charlene invited her to the wedding. And that was cut.
That's our Charlene.
So, next episode, we are rounding home plate. Episode 19, The Women of Atlanta.
It's my mom's favorite episode.
Is that some foreshadowing?
Ooh.
We'd love everyone to follow along with us and engage. Instagram and Facebook at Sweet Tea and TV. Email sweetteatvpod@gmail.com, and our website is sweetteatv.com. We have lots of ways you can support the show. You can tell your family and friends about us. You can rate and or review the podcast wherever you listen. And there are additional ways available on the website from our Support Us page. And hang tight for extra sugar.
This week we're talking about bachelorette parties. So grab your beer funnel and your obligatory penis-shaped party favor. We're about to get wild.
Girls Gone Wild.
Not girls gone wild.
See, sorry.
Nikki, put your top on.
Woo!
And you know what that means.
What does it mean, Selena?
It means we'll see you around the bend.
Bye.
Welcome to this week's edition of Extra Sugar. So, Charlene's bachelorette party got us, we interested in the general tradition. So today, we're going to talk a little bit about the history of bachelorette parties, top bachelorette, that's a really hard word to say twice in a row, batch party destinations in the South, and then I thought we'd close out by talking about some memories. It could be our bachelorette party, or it could be someone else's bachelorette party.
I thought what happened in Vegas stayed in Vegas.
Well, be careful. Don't break girl code.
shoot.
Yeah, just,
I signed some NDAs.
well, then you'll have to tell other stories. Also, do you know what bachelorette parties are called in like the UK and Ireland?
Stagette parties?
Hen parties?
Hen parties. I did know that, actually.
I don't like it.
Oh,
They're just clucking. You know, women just,
I bet that's it.
yeah, it is exactly
They're
it.
laying around on their eggs, just clucking around.
So Ashley they threw her a hen party over there, and she would tell me, like, kind of update me on what they were doing or whatever. And I'd be like, stop saying hen party. Sorry, Ashley, I love you.
Memories.
I don't know. It just seems mean. Anyways, patriarchy. So I found this article in Time, and not like in time,
In due time.
somewhere over the course and histories of time, but in actually the magazine Time. The predecessor of the bachelorette party emerged in the 50s and 60s as a second bridal shower of sorts that allowed women to drink with their girlfriends and open more risque gifts like lingerie. To contrast with that idea, some form of the bachelor party has been around for so long that its roots can be traced back to Spartans. 50s, 60s, Spartans. That feels right.
Maybe women just didn't want to celebrate getting married.
Yeah. But the bachelorette party wasn't really cemented in culture until the 80s. In fact, the article says the first mention of this type of party first appeared in Time back in 1979, and it spotlighted male strippers in Wisconsin. I have to tell you, I
Of all
wasn't.
places?
That's what I'm saying. That was the last location that I was expecting. But good for y'all. Sociologist Beth Montemuro points to bachelorette parties as a byproduct of the women's liberation movement and sexual revolution. I think you could argue that the introduction of these parties for women was really quite progressive for the times. Time also speaks to the evolution of these events from one night of debauchery to these very elaborate, expensive weekends. Sure, the internet and social media have exacerbated things, but the real culprit? Any ideas?
The male stripper industry.
The male stripper industrial complex.
No idea.
It's a wonderful guess. It is none other than the wedding of the century back in 1981 when soon-to-be Princess Diana and Prince Charles married in a wedding seen by 750 million, just in case you weren't aware of how many people it was worldwide. Suddenly, everything had to be bigger, better, more extravagant, and I just don't think we ever really turned back. So, let's talk about top bachelorette party destinations in the South. So, I narrowed the list down to 4.
Okay.
And basically what I did, I need you to know my criteria.
Okay.
It's very important to me. I looked across a few lists. If they appear multiple times, we're talking about it.
Right.
Okay. First on the list.
Wait, do I get to guess?
Oh, yeah. Oh, okay.
Okay, so I think
The 4 that I narrowed it to?
yes.
Okay.
Nashville,
Okay.
New Orleans,
Mhm.
Charleston,
Mhm.
and Greenbow, Alabama.
If you guess that last one, because it's a little bit of a sticker outer.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I don't think you'll guess it.
It's not somewhere in Kentucky?
No.
Not somewhere in Virginia?
Yes.
Okay.
Do you want to guess?
Charleston? Charlottesville.
Shut the front door.
I couldn't think of that name. I couldn't think of that city.
Were you in my notes?
I was not. Did I get them all
think
4
you
right?
Oh, you didn't name them in order, but for a second I thought you did. And I was like, she in my notes. She's about Google Docs. So we'll start with New Orleans, your favorite city. And I have to tell you, after I was reading more about it, and you have talked to me for years about like how great it is there.
Yeah.
And I think it's just hard for me to not get Bourbon Street out of my head. Like,
Yes.
that is just one part. And now, like, I really want to go after looking into this segment.
Yeah.
But it's arguably the most obvious choice. And because of Bourbon Street, it's the most obvious choice for celebrating. What can I say? In the Bible Belt, we get really excited when we can drink legally in the streets.
I love debauchery.
That's right.
I love open container laws.
That's right. So, there are other creative ways, though, to spend your time, like I was just alluding to. You don't have to be. You can be on Bourbon Street the whole time, but there's other stuff. There's a voodoo museum, swamp tours, ghost tours, live jazz. What?
I was imagining a bunch of bachelorettes on a swamp tour.
Just like the fans blowing in the back, and they're
Why,
all
that
got their
was so
bikinis
funny to me.
on. Hey, it's all stripes, something for everybody. So, but also like there's gumbo and beignets, which you'll want to eat in your bikini. And I mean, I'm ready to go right now.
I feel like it's also very aesthetic and very Instagrammable, which is what I feel like bachelorette parties have become.
Yeah, I'm like, hold on, I got to put something on Instagram, but also I just can't stand that culture.
Not having been to a bachelorette party in like lots of years at this point. Like it's probably been at least 5 years. No, it's been longer than that. At least 7 years that I've been to a bachelorette party. So I don't know how much to like how relevant my perspective is on it, but on social media I just see
Absolutely.
bachelorette parties and
I
they're just
think
very aesthetic.
all of these places are.
Yes.
And that's part of what's going
That's
to
a
play
criteria.
into this. Charleston. Well, do you have any questions for me? Just know you can stop me anytime. What would I answer? I haven't even been to New Orleans. You'd be like, yes, where can I get the best beignets?
I think I'm all set.
I'd be like, well, you tell me.
Probably not Cafe Du Monde, but it is the most Instagrammable beignet stop, I feel like.
Yeah. It's
Just so
classic,
you know.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Also ran by a female chef, I think. Charleston. Yes. This is a great pick because Charleston kind of has it all. It's one of my favorite cities. It's certainly maybe my favorite city in all of the South. You got great food. You got nightlife on King Street. I want to be very clear. I'm old. And even when I wasn't old, I had become old. So the nightlife doesn't mean as much to me, but it's there. There's also Folly Beach nearby. So if you just need to get in that bikini, you absolutely can. There's great shopping. I think a lot of people would probably point you back to King Street for shopping. That is definitely where your upscale Pradas and stuff are. I actually prefer historic Charleston City Market. It's an open air market with lots of unique finds. And it also has a Callie's Hot Little Biscuit at the end. So the historic district is also full of a lot of really cool architecture. I mean, that has to be one of my favorite parts about there, which firmly puts me in my late 30s, guys. I realize most bachelorettes aren't probably like, ooh, I want to see this architecture, but maybe.
I bet they walk drunkenly down the cobblestone streets wondering about the architecture.
But it is that aesthetic.
Uh-huh.
So Rainbow Row or like the Pineapple Fountain, all of those things.
I mean,
are
if you're
just
going to
really
pass out
pretty.
somewhere, you might as well pass out there.
On the Pineapple Fountain.
Sure.
Yeah. So, it's just like a balloon letting out air. Nashville.
I love Nashville.
This was actually top of mind for me because when we were actually sort of planning out the season, Nashville was the first place I thought of when we were talking about doing this segment because in my mind, I would say for the last at least 5 years, this has been the place I hear everybody saying that they're going for a bachelorette party. I was pretty sure I'd seen it as like kind of like the Vegas of the South or something. But I didn't find any articles that were really saying that. It was in a lot of lists, but just as one more thing on the list, which surprised me a little bit. I expected to see some more fanfare, but when it does come to bachelorette parties, the Music City hits all the right notes.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
Someone will love it. My mom will love it. Thanks, Mom. But what they're really known for is live music. So it's everywhere, especially on Lower Broad or AKA Honky Tonk Highway. Mm-hmm. Bar hopping is also something that you can accomplish on Honky Tonk Highway. You can tour the nearby Jack Daniel's distillery. You can get a ride to the distillery and back from the distillery, and everyone can remain safe. So
I feel like Uber is very popular in Nashville.
I would think so. I'm guessing Jack Daniel's has so much money.
They
may not need the Uber to do that.
We did New Year's Eve in Nashville one year, and Jack Daniel's was the sponsor. And they had all through Broadway, they had setups where you could grab a shot or a mixed drink everywhere you turn.
Smart. Also, one of the Southern billionaire families, the Browns.
Oh, that's right.
Mm. The last thing on the list for Nashville, good eating. Mm. You know, you've got the Gulch, the Sobro neighborhoods, and then the spice. You're in the home of hot chicken. Nashville hot chicken.
So hot.
Yeah, so Hattie B's is probably the most well-known option. We also have one here in Atlanta, and I think they're just all over the country now. But there are definitely plenty of good ones to choose from. Eater Nashville even keeps a running list, so you can always stay abreast. A chicken breast.
Oh, no.
I would just like to say, I didn't even write that.
Oh, good.
That was so fancy, it just came right to here.
Oh, I thought you plagiarized it. Mm-mm. I didn't even write that. I just borrowed it from someone else.
No, I just
came from right in your noggin.
It was it lamely just came straight to me in the moment. So
good for you.
Last on the list that you also guessed, which blows my mind, is Charlottesville, Virginia. I wanted to include something that was a little less obvious. Mm-hmm. And this one, I wouldn't have probably included it, but just kept popping up. So here we are. Sorry, Charlottesville. Not that there's anything. I don't know. Like I said, it's not the typical choice.
I am missing something about Charlottesville because I've heard a lot of conversation about it recently, and everybody loves it.
It sounds like it's a really cute town.
I've never been there.
So for this one, I would say that this is for your wine-loving bachelorette party. There's the Monticello Wine Trail that offers top-rate wineries with tourable, tasteable vineyards. And the Wedding Wire suggests that Keswick, Barbersville, and Horton Vineyards, as well as Pippin Hill Farm and Vineyards, are all good spots. Your backdrop, the Blue Ridge Mountains. So it's not only beautiful to look at, but fun to play in with all your outdoorsy activities potentially on deck if that's what you want to do. Or you could just go drink. I
don't care about the backdrop.
You can
Just care about the bottle.
don't hike and drink. It's just a little safety tip from us to you.
Or do if you want to.
I mean, I guess you can, but it really feels like a bad idea.
I feel like you're being really judgmental right now, Selena.
I just don't want you to die.
It doesn't feel safe.
No. So Main Street, I wonder, is what you're hearing about a lot, possibly. But this is where you'll find food and drink. And that whole downtown area is supposed to be what's really, really cute. So, I don't know. Virginia is just like, it's that place it is in the South, but it's a really long way from us.
It is.
It takes a long time to drive to Virginia. So, I don't know I'll be getting there anytime soon. So tell us about it. Unless Charlottesville wants us to pay us to go.
Sure. Yeah.
Or not pay us, just pay for the trip.
And us. The trip and food.
So we'll link to some information for anyone that's interested. Maybe you're planning a bachelorette party, but even if you're not, like, even though this was for planning a bachelorette party, you can totally just use this to plan a trip, because it got me excited to take a trip, and I am well beyond the bachelorette party phase of my life. So our last stop for today's tour would be memories. And I just wanted to ask, Nikki, is there anything that stands out for you as a memory, whether it be your own bachelorette party or other people's bachelorette parties? Uh-oh. Would you like me to start off?
Yes, please.
I just have to say that the best part about this is that I also give you a heads up.
I know. I wasn't ready.
So I'll just talk about my own bachelorette party first. It was actually a shared event with my friend Sylvia, who got married 2 months before me. So we went to her family's lake house in Alabama, Lake Wedowee, and we hung out. We ate good food and drank the drinks. The thing is, it's been 11 years now. So the details are a little fuzzy at this point, but I do remember a couple of key things that are very bachelorette party. One is that we both got together and made shirts for everyone, as one does. I still have it hanging around here somewhere, but there is a lady in a martini glass. And then also very of the time, I have made some of those redneck wine glasses with the red Solo cup on top of the candlestick. And I had made that for all of our friends before we went. I think I might have even put names or something on them. So there's that one. We also threw our friend Allie her bachelorette party there a few years later. I think my friend Kelly's was one of my more memorable bachelorette parties. This is the one where we wound up going to the Cornet Club, where there's women on one side and men on the other. Pro tip. Oh, what's it gonna be?
What kind of tip?
It's not gonna be what you think it's gonna be.
Oh.
What it's gonna be is, if you go to a strip club, I rarely just say this as like, just go ahead and do this proactively, but be drunk. Because being sober at a strip club is the pits, and I will never do it again. Sorry, this isn't to poo-poo on my friend's bachelorette party. That one was on me. No, but I will say that for me, as a female, there was nothing sexy about a man throwing his penis, trying to throw it over my shoulder. I definitely, it's just very aggressive. I feel like
a little bit forward.
Can we know names first? What do you call him?
So it was a male stripper, but I thought this was a patron. I missed the male-female.
I was like, either way.
What is happening?
The dancer, a patron. Don't throw your penis over my shoulder.
What's happening?
I mean, I'm saying that a little bit in jest, but just barely. Like, just barely. So it wasn't for me.
No.
And I was like, I'll just go over to the side with women, because maybe that's a little bit, I don't know. It's just be better. And then that got me 10 shades of sad. And What I'm trying to say is there should be a 2-drink minimum,
Yeah.
like at comedy clubs, because you need it. You need it, Nikki. You need the booze.
Yeah.
I did want to give one more,
Okay.
which is Casey's sister. She had a great bachelorette party in Chattanooga. We did a scavenger hunt and a dinner cruise. The scavenger hunt was like a lot of fun. Those, I would tell you that just honestly, that does not really match up with my personality. But this is what shows you that sometimes, like, stop being a butthole, just try something new and you might enjoy it. Also, Chattanooga is very cute.
It is. Yeah, that probably should have made the list too. So I have to comment on one thing, which is your beef with Charlene's bachelorette party was that
Yeah.
it was G-rated.
Yeah.
You have described 4 bachelorette party experiences, which involved a scavenger hunt,
Mhm.
cups, you made cups,
Mhm.
and T-shirts,
Mhm.
with the one outlier being the strip club.
Well, and all the blow that we did.
Right.
I said women could get wild.
So I don't know. That was just interesting to me. I have been to a handful of bachelorette parties. I feel like these things in theory are way more fun than they are in person. I have a real problem with male strippers. They not the problem. Like I don't have beef with the strippers. They make me uncomfortable. And that's a me thing. That's not a them thing. It's just not for me. And I went to one bachelorette party where there was a male stripper. My friends probably have different memories of this than I do. But I made friends with him. He was a very nice guy. The stripper part was uncomfortable for me, but afterwards he was very nice.
I always make friends with the dancers. It just happens. Especially when they're women dancers. Because, I'm like, oh, what are you doing? Are you in school? Like,
What's happening here?
tell me, like, what's this like? Like, walk me through it. You just wind up chatting. I don't know.
Yeah. So my bachelorette party, I think, was I think it was pretty tame because that's my personality. Unfortunately, the people who hosted it for me, I think, understood that. But it was mostly just, we must have gone out or something. I remember going to dinner and I remember coming back and we did like a lingerie party. And then we must have gone out afterwards, but it wasn't wild and crazy. So I don't know. That one with the male strippers probably the most wild and crazy I've been because we left there and went to Opera, which I don't even know if it's open anymore. But when it was open, that place was a lot to take in.
Yeah.
It was a lot to take in. That was an intense night. But yeah, bachelorette parties aren't my favorite thing. I like a bridal shower. I like a wedding. Bachelorette
I like
parties.
a brunch.
I would love
tea.
a brunch. I would love a brunch with bottomless mimosas. That would be super fun for me.
So that's the other thing. Like, I've had plenty of wild nights. They didn't always wind up being on bachelorette party nights. I don't know what to tell you. That's just like, but that actually, I'm glad you said that because what I would actually say when it comes to these parties and when it comes to these memories for me and what really rose to the top, I can take shots and funnel beers. I mean, I don't do that anymore, but I could do that any night. Like, I'm like, in high school, in middle school, no. But like, the thing that was for me is it's like bonding experiences and time with my people. Like, it's with the women who've been an integral part of my life. And so it's like this opportunity to like share in a big milestone in whatever's going on for them.
Yeah.
And vice versa. And I think that's really what was the most meaningful.
I think I think that scavenger hunt sounds super fun. I think a night away with my girlfriends, and we try to do this a couple times a year, to do a night away, and we have one coming up soon, away from the family, away from the husbands, away from the kids, just to be us. And the older we get, the more we can just enjoy us. Like, we don't need all the stuff that comes with it.
All the stuff. And I think that's sort of like the evolution of friendship too. Like, I remember it, like, just being our girlfriends. Now, you have to remember, my friends and I have been friends since some of us were 9, 10, 11. And so this is a very long, storied friendship, right? But it was like that time where it was just you, and it wasn't all of this peripheral stuff. And then you get into this period where, like, suddenly, like, there always has to be, like, we'll just call them love interests around. And you get into this phase where it always has to be partying, or like always has to be like everybody's always got to be stimulated and something fun's got to be going on. And I feel like we're circling back to this phase where we really just want to sit there and talk. and like catch up. And, what can I say? Like, friendship's a great thing. And if this is one additional way to celebrate that, I'm all about it. One other thing that I wanted to share is that we'll link to a bride's article that describes how to plan a bachelorette party, if you're in that phase of your life, including important points of etiquette that will hopefully help avoid any awkward discussions about who's doing what, who's paying for what, because that gets awkward.
That does get awkward.
And here's hoping that this inspired y'all to travel and get wild and then one day get old, like me. Not Nikki. She's very young, 3 months younger. And that's this week's edition of Extra Sugar.